fit to beat your home, nigga. Yeah. Go on, get on that ass real quick one time. 144, baby.
They said you get on, you gon' represent. I said, of course. Soon as they crank that beat, I ride that bitch just like a horse. She about to go dumb, yeah, bitch, me whole guard. You ain't know they call me Obi-Wan. I come with the force. You gon' ride, yeah, of course. Get it lit up like a torch. You either low or this low, so that bitch is either or. Yeah, I know them niggas ain't cut like that. I swear I'm to our core. Wait up, let me make a call right quick. I'ma start another war. I was hurting when she left, but I don't care about anymore. I need a Vaseline like my Nina Puffer Ford. Took a Zoc, watch the dark. Matter of fact, like a dart. Any problem, let them come. We gon' snatch they soul like Shang Tsung. Put them out of service, keep them tools like Miss Hopper Free. Try to hold me, it's way too late. I'm headed straight to the safe. Throw that one up like a trophy. I'm that nigga, ain't no debate. Told them boys we taking over. Call them up like set the date. This shit a piece of cake. Yeah, my bitches came from Whole Foods. Told them put on that top 3. Then bring me my house shoes. Don't make excuses, make moves. These niggas ungrateful, gotta show them UPK rules. I'm making hits like I can't lose. They said you get on, you gon' represent. I said of course. Soon as they crank that beat, I ride that bitch just like a horse. She about to go dumb, yeah, bitch, me whole guard. You ain't know they call me Obi-Wan. I come with the force. You gon' ride, yeah, of course. Get it lit up like a torch. You either low or this low, so that bitch is either or. Yeah, I know them niggas ain't cut like that. I swear I'm to our core. Yeah, I just got off the call. I'ma start another war. Spit a plate up with my niggas, get your knife and your fork. He ain't locked in with the count, and when you speaking to me for. Yeah, I just took the floor. Ain't no cowards in my campaign. They can't stop the campaign. Tell them bring the champagne. They know I'm a champion. They can see the outcome. Did them niggas bad, got them tied down and out there. Can't do with them steppers, niggas been down since day one. We run up the bands, bitch like Dylan. They say you get on, you gon' represent. I said of course. Soon as they crank that beat, I ride that bitch just like a horse. Yeah, about to go dumb, yeah, bitch, we whole guard. You ain't know they call me Obi-Wan. I come with the force. You gon' ride, yeah, of course. Get it lit up like a torch. You either low or this low, so that bitch is either or. I told you niggas, you ain't cut like that. I swear I'm to our car. And I just made the call. We gon' start another war. Yeah.
You boy, you know what time it is, nigga. Better watch how you step in, yeah. But that was my niggas, yeah. A minute, yo. Got my nigga Rawan with me. But that was my niggas, it'll be an honor. You know what I'm saying? Under commanding general, your honor. Straight off the top, I love all of my niggas. That shit ain't gon' stop till we on top and we ballin', my nigga. We be fly as fuck, you know them bitches be stalking my niggas. That shit'll never change and it's the same with all my niggas. City to city, I should be at home. That's what my ribs say. But bitch, I'm grown. I'm in these streets and closed caption. Niggas know we bout that action. If a nigga play with me, then my heart can gon' let him have it. Hey, thank you the shit, this truth the shit. Nigga play, I let that Ruger hit. Get on them tracks, they be like, who is this? I'm rude with it. Ain't got no manners. All them pussy niggas talking shit. Yeah, I know they can't stand us, but we UPK Louisiana, bitch, that's what I'm rippin'. And my niggas solid number, real ones in my section. If you wanna get down, put your boots on, start stepping. Brotherhood is a weapon. Brotherhood is a weapon. Better watch how you steppin', cause brotherhood is a weapon. If I die for my niggas, it'll be an honor and a blessing. Better watch how you steppin', cause brotherhood is a weapon. Brotherhood is a weapon. Better watch how you steppin', cause brotherhood is a weapon. If I die for my niggas, it'll be an honor and a blessing. Better watch how you steppin', cause brotherhood I lay my life down right now for all my sisters and brothers, because I love them. I see them dapping and hug them. It's amazing to see how well we adapt. from the struggle. Born again from a life of sin, trapped in the gutter. My mind frame was to kill my own kind. Feeling inferior, waking up ready to die. Run with them killers, so it's just a matter of time. For why take your life or let you take mine? That's when I realized the slaves killing slaves while the white man live to get old. We in them graves, shit got me feeling played. I opened the Bible, went through them records, found out we was royalty, a nation to be respected. But in this world we rejected, we hated for our complex. Still fighting to get accepted. We hear the truth and reject it, but love is getting corrected. And all my niggas correct me. The commandments, the foundation we erected. Brotherhood is a weapon. Brotherhood is a weapon. Better watch how you stepping, cause brotherhood is a weapon. If I die for my niggas, it'll be an honor and a blessing. Better watch how you stepping, cause brotherhood is a weapon. Brotherhood is a weapon. Better watch how you stepping, cause brotherhood is a weapon. If I die for my niggas, it'll be an honor and a blessing. Better watch how you stepping, cause brotherhood is a weapon. Hey, hey. Hey, hey.
All right, Shalom, Yahweh, Shem Yahshua, Brakatham, all the brothers. Shalom, Yahweh, Shemar, Latham, Bashim, Yahweh, Shad, all the sisters. Salakia, do a mic check real quick. Salakia. Second. Mic check, mic check. All right, Salakia. All right, Shalom, Yahweh, Shem Yahshua, Brakatham, all the brothers. Shalom, Yahweh, Shemar, Latham, Bashim, Yahweh, Shad, all the sisters. Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohana. This the Friday night Lashawan Qadash class. We break down the scriptures from a linguistics perspective. You know what I mean? Not only do we teach the scriptures all throughout the week, but we also get into the language that the scriptures were written in so that we can get the scriptures in a proper cultural context. I mean, which is one of the biggest reasons why the Christian church just can't understand the Bible, aside from the fact that this Christian church is just full of snakes and liars and thieves and whores. But, I mean, even in, it's like, I ain't gonna go there, but a big reason why, the Christian church just can't understand the Bible is because they discard the Hebrew. They don't reference the Hebrew. They don't understand the Hebrew so that they can get the proper context of certain words. You know what I mean? Which is part of the reason why the Christians think that God loves everybody, right? And things like that. You know what I mean? But you get into these scriptures. Understand the language. If you get into these scriptures, understand the language, you'll also be able to understand the spirit behind what's being said. You know what I mean? Based on how we use our language, the Lashawan Qadash, the holy tongue, the Hebrew, as the world knows it. But it's going to be a huge tool if you really want to get an understanding. First, you need to get up in the ISUPK started since 1969. Once you get up in here, you need to get up in class, especially. You need to get up in class and also get in Lashawan Qadash class as well, just as well as scripture breakdown, brotherhood, law class, all of those different classes. Sabbath service as well. You know what I mean? Friday night during Lashawan Qadash class, we usually get into what we're going to be getting into on Sabbath service, which we're going to do tonight. The title of the class is Psalms 121 breakdown. And again, ordinarily we'll go into the scriptures. Like I believe we're still in Genesis. but Sabbath service, ordinarily we'll go into the actual scriptures we're going to be reading during Sabbath service. But tonight I thought it would be appropriate for us to go into something that we are pretty familiar with, that we hear every week. You know what I mean? Because we're going to be practicing using what we learned, what we've been what we've been learning over the past couple weeks, or past couple months actually, Salakia, during Lashawan Qadash class. You know what I mean? Particularly last week. You know what I mean? If you was in class last Lashawan Qadash class, we good night. Like you. Well, last week we kind of went over. We went into we kind of created a cheat sheet. So we kind of did a little review, went over the basics, the prepositions, the possessives. You know what I mean? The different. I mean, how the prepositions and how the prepositions and possessives work. You know what I mean? The different things that you might see in the scriptures, and examples of how they're used and all of that. We went into what else? The tenses, the 4 steps that you're going to use to break down these scriptures. The preposition, checking on your prepositions, your possessives, your being able to identify the root word, how to separate the root word from the phrase, and then from there you'll be able to identify your tenses. Those are the 4 steps. So we went over those, and in going through all of those things, we kind of put together a cheat sheet. All right. So if you were in class last week, you should definitely have that cheat sheet. If you don't have it, I advise you to go back and watch that class, get that cheat sheet so that you can understand this Lashawan Qadash. And then I promise you, once you understand those things, then breaking down the Lashawan Qadash on Sabbath service, reading it, or if you just, I mean, whether you're reading it during Sabbath service, Lashawan Qadash class, or you just reading it on your own, trying to, you know what I mean, study the Hebrew, it's going to become a whole lot easier once you got that cheat sheet. All right. So we're going to start. So if you got that cheat sheet, again, what I would do is reference that cheat sheet. If not, just use whatever notes that you've been able to compile over these last couple months. You're going to need it. You're going to need it. Select. No sweat. I just check Facebook and YouTube for any questions or comments. If you got any questions or comments, go ahead, put them in the chat. You know what I mean? Any questions, comments, or whatever the case is, go ahead, put them in the chat. Salakia. Lashawan Qadash related, and we'll get to them. And again, we're gonna be practicing, so you know what I mean. We'll be checking the chat for brothers and sisters. You know what I mean, showing that they actually here in class and they, you know what I mean, followed instructions, took the notes. That's gonna help you. Because there's really not a lot of notes that you need. It's really not a lot of information. It's just a matter of whether you want your language, your culture, and your identity back or not. There's really not a lot of stuff, you know what I mean, on this cheat sheet. Just write it down. It could fit on 1 page, about half a page, actually. And then as you're taking your notes at home as well, I mean, you can get a little bit creative and resourceful how you take your notes. Like, for example, we talked about the prepositions, and then there's a couple prepositions that are kind of, I don't want to say special, but they're a little bit unique, right? So when they're added to a root word, they, instead of what's the word? Instead of saying its meaning, like, for example, the ha is one of the most common prepositions. The ha always means the. So if you have a word, mayim, water, ha mayim, the water, right? Words, you got most of your prepositions are going to just act like they're just going to behave like that when you see them in the scriptures. But then you got a couple of them in there that change the word completely. Like, for example, using the same word mayim, you add a sha to mayim, it goes from, we know sha means which or pertaining to, but you add sha to mayum, it becomes shamayum, and you don't pronounce that phrase pertaining to water. You pronounce that phrase heaven, right? So things like that, certain phrases like that, or certain prepositions like that, they'll just change the word completely and create a whole new word. All right. So when you as you taking these notes, you can get a little resourceful with how you take your notes, get some highlighters and highlight those particular prepositions there, and so you could get it in your memory, so that eventually this could just become something that you recognize off site. And we gonna get a couple examples tonight. Also, I wanted to note last week, if you was in class last week, I made an error referring to the ya. All right. You want to add, I corrected it on the board, but what you want to add to your notes as well is the na and the function of the na, right? In the Lashawan Qadash. So you got, we talked about last week briefly that na, I mistakenly said ya, it's not the ya. All right. So if you got that in your notes, you should correct that and get what I'm telling you now, but it's not the ya. All right. So if you see it, if you have a root word that starts with a ya, not as a preposition, the root word just starts with ya, or Salaki, if your root word starts with a na, right? When you attach a preposition to a root word that starts with a na, a lot of times that na will be replaced with whatever that preposition is, or whatever that character is that's added to the front. All right, so you want to add that to your notes, just however you got to jot it down, just jot down a quick mental note of the na, all right? And we're going to see a couple examples of that tonight as we go through it, as we go through Psalms 121. But again, Salakia, for that error, you want to definitely go back and correct that, and just make that note of that na, right? We're going to see a couple examples. All right. Let's go to make sure you got your learning utensils. Make sure you got your pen and pencil, or pen or paper, whatever you need. Your notebook. Make sure you got your study tools, your biblical workbook and textbook. Make sure you got your what's it called, your concordance. Make sure you got your English, the Hebrew dictionary, right? Especially now, since I don't know if it's back up or not. I haven't used it since for the past couple of weeks, but it looks like a lot of brothers and sisters are having a little bit trouble with a two-letter lookup. Now, if you're able to use it, you know what I mean, Most High in Christ, that's fine and all. But what I would recommend for brothers to do is just to get a Hebrew to English dictionary. All right. So when we have things like this, you know, your oppressor, the devil, the Bible speaks of. So of course, you know what I mean, with them running the airwaves and all of that, you know what I mean, they of course, there's always some sort of attack on Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American learning our culture and identity, because it keeps them on top. It keeps us on the bottom and docile. So when things like that happens, it's always good to have physical paper. You know what I mean? We saw last week, I believe it was, a couple brothers' phones and internet and all of that was down as well. You know what I mean? When things like that happen, it's always useful. It's always wise to have paper. You know what I mean? That's why it's always good to take physical notes. It's always good to have these physical books and documents. Of course, you know what I mean? You can always get on the internet and look these things up and just have it in your pocket ready to go. But when things like that happen, when two-letter lookup ain't working, and when the internet and your phone service go down, you got the physical book, so that you never, you know what I mean, left naked. All right. And the dictionary, the Hebrew to English dictionary, works just like two-letter lookup. It's actually very easy. If a couple months ago, I recommended brothers get on Kindle and buy the online version of the Hebrew to English dictionary. All right, so you always got it on your phone when things like that happen. You also got one in the back of your concordance. All right, so not only, you know what I mean, there was a time we could use two-letter lookup as well as have the dictionary as on your phone, as well as have a physical dictionary in your concordance. But you know what I mean, as you see the you know what I mean, the oppressor's internet and phone system is failing, right? But you want to know how to use those resources. It's just like two-letter lookup. You just go to it's gonna give you you open it up, it's gonna give you a glossary from A to Tha in the Assyrian Hebrew, and it's gonna give you a glossary in the Assyrian Hebrew, and you just click the first character of the word you're trying to look up, and then it's gonna take you to another glossary where with the same characters, and you just click the second letter of the word you're trying to look up, and it's gonna take you to that section of the dictionary with all the words that start with those first two characters. And it's, you know what I mean? So that's how you use that tool. I recommend you get real familiar with it now, especially since what's it called? Two-letter lookup is down right now. All right. So we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna try to Salakia, bear with me. You know what I mean? I'm noticing that our chat, you know what I mean, I'm having a hard time seeing the chat on the on our system up here. So I'm kind of multitasking on and off my phone, switching between the different platforms we streaming on. So I'm gonna try to get y'all questions and comments, and I'm gonna need them too because I'm gonna be asking some questions so we can practice using this cheat sheet. All right. I'm gonna try to keep up with y'all. Just bear with me. All right. But we're gonna get right into it. Psalms 121. Now, Psalms 121, Salaki, as I share my screen, Psalms 121 is again one of the prayers that we say every week during Sabbath service. You know what I mean? So we should be very familiar with Psalms 121. All right. And it's gonna be an excellent teaching tool, an excellent learning and practice tool. Hey, Salaki, please. You mind grabbing water real quick? Sure. But it's going to be an excellent tool that you could use to kind of practice, because Sabbath service, when you read in the scriptures in Sabbath service, you're reading a lot of the Hebrew that you probably, a lot of times when you read in the Lashawan Qadash during Sabbath service, you're reading words and phrases that you've never seen before. You're seeing the way that language works and how it's used in ways that you haven't seen before. All right. But when you're first trying to get familiar with it, or when you're first trying to practice using a Lashawan Qadash, it's good to use something that you see, that you're familiar with, right? That you're familiar with, that you're pretty comfortable with, so that if you see anything if you see anything that's a little different or might change or whatever the case is, then you can notice it right off the bat. You're like, okay, this is unfamiliar to me. Then you can ask your questions and get it cleared up. So now, when we go to Sabbath service, you can just breeze right through your prayers. All right. So for that reason, we are going to Psalms 121. Right. Let me get there. Pull up. Yeah. The water. Well, I do got this hottest jacket on. I guess it would help if I take off the jacket. Let me pull up Salaki as I pull up Psalms 121 in the English as well. And again, as I'm pulling it up, it's good to, you know what I mean, especially if you during Friday night Lashawan Qadash class, it's good to read in the it's good to read it in the English so that you can get used to, so that you can kind of pick out what words you're gonna see. I'm not gonna be able to put up Psalms. I'm not gonna be able to put up Psalms 121 in the English on the screen because we're gonna have Salakia. I'm not gonna be able to put up Psalms 121 in the English because we already got Psalms 121 in the Lashawan Qadash. But you should again be familiar with it. So we're gonna read it in the English just so you can see these English words and get an idea of what words you're gonna be expected to see as you're reading through it. So you can know what words are gonna be sight words in the Hebrew. All right, so we're gonna read through verse 1 through 8, and then we're gonna pick out a couple sight words that you should be expected to see, and then we're gonna get into the Lashawan Qadash. All right. So we got this book of Psalms, chapter 121, starting at verse 1. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills from which cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Verse 4, behold, that he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. Verse 5, the Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. All right. Now, in that, we're going to skim through it again, and we're going to pick out a couple of these sight words. All right. I'm going to go a little bit fast because I really want to get into the actual Lashawan Qadash and give y'all a chance to kind of participate and show what y'all learned, see where y'all at with it from what y'all learned from last week on that cheat sheet. See how well y'all keep the notes and so on and so forth. All right. So I will lift up mine eyes into the hills. So we know that eyes is Ayun. You know, Officer Tahan Gabar out of Killeen, he did an excellent class on the body parts in the Hebrew. You know what I mean? If I'm not mistaken, they may still be up on the board. If not, they should definitely be in your notes. But I is Ayun, and also I is the pictograph for the character I, right? So from two different classes, you should be very familiar with Ayun. And then we know from the prepositions, or it's like the possessives, we know my eyes. The scripture says, I'll lift up mine eyes. We know that means my eyes. All right. So we know if Ayun is eyes, then we should see Ayun ya or Ayun yum, depending on how it's worded. I'm not sure how it's worded yet. We're going to see. But you should look for one of those two things or something close to it. Unto the hills. Hill is hard, right? Hill is hard. From whence cometh my help? Come is ba'a, right? Or bawa'a, depending on the context. And yawashta, sir. But depending on how it's used, you'll see ba'a or bawa'a. All right. My help, Salakia, help is Izaria or Salakia Izar. It just help. My help is Izaria. All right. My help coming from the Lord. We know the Lord's name is Yahweh in the Hebrew, which made heaven and earth. Heaven is Shemayim. Earth is Aratazah. He will not suffer thy foot. Foot is regal, to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel. Israel is Yasharallah. Behold also is Salakia. Salakia. Let me think. Right there. I slipped my mind, but we'll get into it. All right. I'm just going through this so that you can get an idea of what kind of sight words you're going to be seeing as we go through this in the Lashawan Qadash. All right, where is we at? Israel, obviously Yasharallah, shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper, Yahweh. Right. Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand. Hand is Yad. Right is Yum Yun. All right. The sun is Shamash. All right. We might not have seen that too many times or went over it. I don't think we went over it in past classes for any particular reason. But just so you know, sun is Shamash. All right. So you're going to see that. Smite thee by day. Day is Yawam. Nor the moon by night. Night is Layala. So you should be on the lookout for that. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. Evil is rod from the Lord's prayer. Deliver us from evil. All right. He shall preserve that soul. Soul is Napash. All right. So you should see Napash. You should expect to see Napash somewhere in there. The Lord shall preserve that going out. Go, I believe, is, I can't remember what go is. Salakia. The Lord shall preserve that going out and thy coming in. There's coming. So Bawa'ah with that, Ba'ah with that Y in the middle, implying the ing. Bawa'ah. So you'll definitely see Bawa'ah right there. From this time forth. Time is Pa'im. I'm not sure I'm not sure if it's gonna be in there. Time is ta'im though. All right. Just so you know, but I'm not sure if it's gonna be in there because it might be a little bit of a different context. But even if you don't see it, it's good to just know that. All right. Let me see. Let me make sure I keep up with your. Let me see. This time fourth and even forevermore. Forever is I will All right. I will All right. So you should see all of those things. Again, we kind of skimmed over fast. You know, usually we skim over it to get these sight words. Tonight, I really want to hone in on using that cheat sheet because if you get used to having your notes, taking those concise notes, if you get in that class that we did last week during Lashawan Qadash and you get that cheat sheet, then you're gonna see first you're gonna be able to use it for tonight because you're gonna need it. You're gonna need it. I promise you will. And then having it, you're gonna see how easy the Lashawan Qadash is. All right. So we're gonna get into the Lashawan Qadash portion. All right. Let me see. We're gonna start right where the prayers for Sabbath service starts. You know, it's a couple phrases in the beginning. We can get to it if we like or if we got time toward the end of the class. But again, what I want to focus on is the prayer and actually understanding what we're saying during Sabbath service. All right, and how it's broken down. All right. So I'm gonna do the first one. I'm do the first one, and then I'm gonna kind of pass it to the class to kind of break it down. And I'm gonna show you how to break it down in the chat. All right. So if you got an answer, which I'm be asking questions again, if you got an answer, you go ahead and put it in the chat. I'm gonna show you exactly how to break it down. All right. So the prayer starts right here. All right. Right where I highlighted that. It starts right here. All right. But this phrase right here, Asha Ah. All right. So what you want to do, the easiest way to be able to figure out how to break it down is to separate your root word. All right. To separate your root word. And you separate your root word, especially with a phrase that you may not be familiar with or you just seeing for the first time, which is majority of the case, is to click on this concordance code. All right. And then it gives you this right here. Nasha. Now look, this is what I was talking about earlier. This na right here. I don't think yeah. That na that I've highlighted. Let me know if y'all having an issue seeing that. You should be able to see what I'm highlighting from your screen. But this is what I was talking about earlier with that na. Again, make sure you get that in your notes. Make sure you make a note of that. But that na is going to be replaced with whatever preposition. A lot of times, not every time, not all the time. I can't say all the time, but a lot of times when you add a preposition to a word that starts with the character na, instead of adding it to the beginning of that word, is going to replace that word, or it's like it. Instead of adding it to the beginning of that word or phrase, it's going to replace the first character in that phrase. All right. So with that being said, the word is nasha. Nasha. All right. That's going to be very important. So we're going to go back to the phrase that's sitting here. So if that's nasha, if the root word is nasha, then how do we get asha, right? Because that's what we got here, asha. It's not nasha, it's asha, all right? Well, based on what we just learned, what we just reviewed from last week, or what we just talked about earlier in the class, that na is replaced by something. So what was there What was there that's not, or what's there now that wasn't there before? This ah right here. So it goes from nasha to asha, right? Asha. So we can assume because that na was replaced, because that's the rule, we can assume that that ah is a preposition. I, meaning I, right? I or I am, right? And that's exactly what we just read in English. I will lift up my eyes into the hill, right? So what's being said is here is I will lift. Nasha, as we just looked at that root word, nasha means to lift. To lift, to carry, to take. In this context is lift, because that's what's in the English. Right? So I lift, right? I sha, right? You add that ah. Ah means I or I am. I will lift, right? Asha, all right? Next, we got Ayanya. Ayanya, all right? I'm gonna go ahead and give you this one as well because I kind of gave it to you already during the as we was reading it in English. All right. So ayun again is I, right? It according to the pictograph for I and according to the body part I. Ayun means I, right? So ayunya is my eye, right? So I will lift up my eye, right? All right. The next part, all is two, right? In this case, it could mean two, or it could just be a connecting phrase. In this case, it means two, right? Now I'm gonna go ahead and pass it to you. All right. So any brother or sister in the class or in the chat, you go ahead and try to break down this next phrase. All right. So we got haharium. Haharium. This one should be real easy because I kind of gave it to you. Gave it to you at the beginning of the class. We was talking about sight words. All right. Haharium. All right. So I gave you the root word. So all you got to do now is use your notes, use your cheat sheet, and pick away the additions, for lack of a better word, the additions to the root word. All right. Pick away those additions to the root word and break it down piece by piece so that you can understand how this language works. All right. I'm gonna give you a couple seconds. If you got your notes, if you haven't already, go ahead and get your notes, reference your notes, and take your time with it. All right. And I'm gonna chime in and help you out in just a second. I see it's a couple people in the chat. All right. Shalom Yahweh Shem Yahshua Brakatham to the brothers. Shalom Yahweh Shemar Latham Bashim Yahweh to the sisters. All right, let's go ahead and get it. See what we're working with. Lock it. Lock it. Bear with me. Let me see. Let me see if we got any comments. All right, no sweat. All right. So this is another one I already gave you, right? So har is mountain or hill, right? In this case is hill, right? So now that you're able to separate the root word har, which is right here, ha and ra next to each other, right? Now all that's left to do is okay, what's that in front of it? where you got a preposition, the ha, which means the, and then you got a tense, a plural tense at the end, yum, right? So ha, haryum means the hills, right? Ha meaning the, har meaning hill or mountain, hill in this case, and then yum at the end, pluralizing it, which is what the English says again. I will lift up mine eyes into the hills. Taharium, the hills. That's how you would say that. All right. Next one. All right. Ma'ayan. All right. Ma'ayan. So once you see a new phrase, you repeat the same process. Click on that concordance code. Click on that concordance code. Figure out what that root word is. Right. This is whence. Right. Whence or where. Right. Ayan. Right. So ma'ayan is from. You know that preposition ma means from, right? And again, just to reiterate, that's one of the prepositions that sometimes changes the word completely. It won't do it all the time, right? Just like this example we see here and various examples through the scriptures. The ma, just like the sha, you know what I mean? You add it to the beginning of the word. Sometimes when you read it, you'll read it as a totally different, totally new root word, right? Sometimes you'll just read it as is, as its preposition. So ma just means ma salakia. Ma just means from or of, right? So ma ayan means from whence, from where, right? Next phrase, ya ba'a, right? Ya ba'a. We just talked about this last while we was reading the English. Ba'a is come. And when you see the word ba'a, you already know ba'a means come, right? So ya ba'a, right? You separate the root word, you separate ba'a, you leave the preposition ya. Ya means he, his, or it, right? In this case, it could be he or it. You know what I mean? Either one. I think it because in the English, that's what it says in English. From whence cometh my help? Talking about it, right? Your help, the it, right? But your help coming, and we're gonna read in the second verse. But my help coming from the Lord, right? So it's gonna be talking about he as well. So it could be either one of those, but that's what that Yah means, he or it. In this case, 9 times out of 10, that it will be a proper translation, right? So Yah Ba'ah, it come from where it comes, right? That's the literal translation, from where it comes. And then Isaiah, again, you click on this concordance code, it's going to give you this root word here, Izar, meaning help. And then you add Yah at the end. Now it becomes my help, right? Next verse, right? And it's only 8 verses, all right? So we should be able to get through this whole thing tonight. If not, you know what I mean? We're only going to go for a couple more minutes. But if not, you know what I mean? Just what you want to do is just get into, get familiar with it. You know what I mean? Participate in Sabbath service, all right? Get familiar with those prayers, right? That we hear every week, right? At least once a week. You know what I mean? You should be very familiar with it as it is, but you know what I mean? Salaki. But you want to get very familiar with it, all right? If you're not familiar already. All right. And I know I'm going pretty fast, but if you got any answers in the chat, you don't gotta wait for me to ask, a question. Go ahead and put your answer in the chat. If you got the answer, all right. You got the answer to how to break these phrases down. You go ahead and just beat me to the punch. Just go ahead and put it in the chat. Go ahead and lay it down in the chat, line by line. You know what I mean? You ain't gotta wait for me. But I want to see how well you taking notes and how well you're using your notes to break these things down. All right. So starting off again, Isaiah, same thing we saw in the last verse. Same thing. Isaiah being a root word, Yah being a possessive, meaning me or my. All right. Isaiah meaning help, Yah meaning my help. All right. Isaiah. All right. And sidebar, give y'all a chance to kind of get ahead of me with these answers, with these breakdowns. But sidebar, that's also the prophet, that's where the prophet Ezra gets his name from. His name is Isaiah in the Lashawan Qadash. Isaiah, meaning Yahweh has helped. Right? Right? Or Isaiah, Salakia. Isaiah, meaning Yahweh has helped. The Lord has helped. All right. So the root word in Isaiah, the root word in Isaiah, the name. Now this is the phonetic spelling. Slacker, priest, you might hand me that little board down there with that marker. But the what? The phonetic spelling for my help would be by sidebar. And in the meantime, while I'm doing this, y'all go ahead and put them answers in the chat and break these things down so we can, you know what I mean? I'll check it here in a second after I'm done with this. But the phonetic spelling for my help is Zar. Yeah. All right. Lock you. All right. Meaning my help. All right. So Izar meaning help. And then the Yah means my. All right. But this is what it's going to look like. All right. So Izar, yeah, that's what we're looking at right now in Psalms 121. All right. But if I'm not mistaken, all right, what it meaning with Isaiah, the prophet's name, what it meaning Yahweh has helped, it will be this. Now to make sure you go ahead and check it real quick, and I'm pretty sure 9 times out of 10, right? This is what you'll see, right? Especially in the prophet's name, or you know what I mean, using the Lord's name in a brother's name, right? Because the scriptures also say to not use the Lord's name in vain. So this is what you'll see, all right? Pronounced the same, but this Yah is different and not to be confused with this Yah. This Yah right here means me or my. This Yah is a shortened way to say Yahweh as to not use the Lord's name in vain. So this up top means my help. This at the bottom means is the prophet Ezra name, meaning Yahweh has helped. All right. That's just a sidebar. All right. But again, I encourage brothers and sisters to go ahead and check that. Double check that right quick. You know what I mean? But I just wanted to show you that just as a rule of thumb. Usually when the Lord's name is used in the name or something like that, it'll be Yah, phonetically spelled Y-A-H, right? Yah with a Yah, the characters Yah and Ha, right? Whereas the suffix or the possessive, it'll just be whereas the suffix would just, or the preposition, or Salaki, the possessive would just be good night. The suffix would just be The suffix would just be Yah, right? The character Yah by itself with no hyphen. All right. Bear with me 1 second while I get back on Facebook. All right. So next phrase is ma'aim. All right. All right. I'm Baki. Lock you. All right. But again, to bust these down, you see I just clicked on that concordance code. So like, let me share my screen again. But I just clicked on that concordance code and it gave me I'm, right? I'm, meaning it's how you say with, right? With. And another sidebar, right? As I'm waiting for my phone to load these comments, right? Another sidebar, I'm is also how you would say people, right? Which you could guess, which you can probably guess where the word with comes from, right? But I'm is also how you would say people, just a side note. So I'm is from, and ma'im, right, will be another example of when you see that ma in the beginning of a root word, right? When you see a ma in front of a root word, this will be another example of how the ma changes the root word completely. So now the root word was I'm, which means with, right? You see all these different translations. You got against, alike, among, along, aside, because, before, behalf, beside. All right, let's see. Right. Right. You see all these definitions. Then you add that ma, right? You add that ma to the beginning. The word goes from with to from, or your help comes from the Most High, right? Ma'im Yahweh. We of course we know that the root word, or we know that the word, or you select it. We know that the Most High's name is Yahweh, all right? Next phrase, Aisha, right? Aisha, click on that concordance code, right? This is a root word, right? Just a root word that stands alone. All right, so lock you. It's a root word that just stands alone, all right? Meaning to do or make. Also, remember, as a preposition to say do or make is da, right? Da means do or make. Da is one of those prepositions that you don't see too often in the scriptures. You do see it. You will see it. Like if you spend enough time in Sabbath service and you participate and you reading and all of that, or you reading through the Lashawan Qadash on your own, you will see da sometimes. It's not often, but you'll see it. All right. And then next we got heaven and earth. This should be real easy. All right. Heaven is Shemayim, like we talked about before. I mean, I don't think we got to spend too much time on that. And then earth is Aratazah. Aratazah, earth, right? So now we got that preposition in the beginning, Wa Aratazah, all right? And this is usually how you'll see it as well. You know what I mean? Especially when it's referring to the Most High, you'll see heaven and earth. Heaven and earth. That'll be a recurrent phrase. So you want to get familiar with this. Shemayim wa aratazah, heaven and earth. Shemayim wa aratazah. All right, you'll see that often. All right. So that wa means and. So and earth. Wa aratazah. Right. Let's see, verse 3. We're gonna get a couple more verses. What's up, Priest? Hey, Salaki, you mind checking the comments? My phone just did some janky stuff. See if anybody put anything in the chat. I doubt it, bro. Let's see. Problem. No sweat. Oh, I ain't seen nothing on YouTube. Okay, most of the store. All right. All right, next where we at? Beginning of verse 3, right? So, right, all, right, means not, right? Depending on this I think we saw all earlier. It meant something different. Depending on how it's used, it could mean not, it could mean it could be used as just I'm thinking of something else, right? Or it could be used as a connector, or it could be used as, what do we see it as early? Two, Salakia, two, right? So it's one of those things that you do want to get familiar with, right? Familiar with seeing, and it might take a couple times of like, you might have to write it down. You might have to write it down, make a note of it, of all the different things that it could mean or how it could be used, because the whole goal of using these words, or it's like the whole goal of doing these breakdowns, reading the Lashawan Qadash during Sabbath service, studying it during scripture, or it's like during Lashawan Qadash class. The whole point is for us to be able to use it with one another, because this is our language. All right, so it wouldn't hurt. It would actually behoove you to, you know what I mean, learn all of these different ways that these words are used. These little I don't want to call them filler words, but these connectors, or these short words, right? These conjunctions, or these little short words that you might see often, and how they're used and why they're used, and why they're used in this way in this particular example. All right. But in this case, we're gonna say that for later class. But in this case, this means this all means not. All right. We got yathun. All right, yathun. All right. Now this is gonna be another example, right? I think we went over this last week. Yathun is the example that we used last week. How that na is replaced by your preposition. All right. So to prove that, let's click on this concordance code. All right. So the word that you see in the scripture is yathun, but the root word is nothun. All right. So nothun, right, means to give. All right. So you go back to that word we just had highlighted, yathun. It has something to do with it pertains to giving, right? We talked about last week. The word muthun does the same thing. So it derives from the word nothun, which means give. Muthun means gift, right? You give a gift, right? And it does the same thing. Instead of saying ma nothun, it's muthun. That na is replaced by that preposition, right? It's a concept that we don't really see often, but it's a concept that you do want to get used to seeing, right? So this is another one of those concepts. Again, na, instead of ya nathun, it's yathun, right? Now yathun, right? Yathun itself. Now here's the tricky part, because I don't think you'll see Yathun in the concordance or in your dictionary. And I remember last week I was looking for it, trying to break this concept down last week, but I couldn't find it. And you're not going to find it. But Yathun means to permit or to allow, or just so you can get that common theme, or so you can get it in your memory. It's remember, this word derives from a word that means give. So this new word that's created means something that has to do with giving, right? So you take nathun, which means give, and you replace that na with that ya, making it yathun. It means to permit or to allow or to give permission. All right. So again, that's another example of how that works. All right. So yathun. So we're at the portion where it says he will not suffer that foot to be moved, right? So I'll not yathun allow or suffer, right? Suffer is in the English, but here you say you see allow. Suffer and allow mean the same thing. If you suffer something, then you allow it. You bear with it. You know what I mean? All right. So suffer and allow mean the same thing. All right. All right. La mawat. All right. Next phrase. La mawat. All right. Click on that concordance code, or even without clicking on the concordance code, right? Because this is another thing you want to get used to as well. Just being able to identify your root words without going to the concordance code off the rip, right? Because during Sabbath service, as you're reading it, you're not going to be able to just click on every single concordance code and separate the root word and then learn how to, break it down from there. You're going to be able to you're going to need to be able to just see it off site, right? So you can do the reverse. So what we've been doing is clicking the concordance code, getting the root word, and then separating the preposition, the possessives, and the tenses from there. Right? But when you don't have the concordance code easily accessible like that, you just use what you know. All right. So you do it in reverse. Instead of isolating the root word first, you can isolate your prepositions first, your possessives first, and the tenses, all right, to get your root word. All right. And we know that mawat is the root word because this la is a preposition, meaning to or for. In this case, it means to, because it says he will not suffer thy foot to be moved. All right. So la means to, so we know mawat means to move. Let's check our work, see if we right. Mawat, a shaking, right? Which is movement, right? All right, so la mawat means to move or to shake, right? So it says la'a yatun la mawat. He will not allow to shake, right? Now what's next? Regal ka, right? Now we're going to do the reverse again. Now we already told you earlier at the beginning of the class that foot is regal. But if we didn't know that, what you could do is just assume you could look at the beginning of your word, look for any prepositions. You don't see any prepositions. Ra isn't a preposition. So you know that has to be part of the root word, right? You go to the end. Ka, right? You see it ends with a ka. You can assume that that's a root word, which will leave, or it's like that you can assume that that's your possessive, which comes at the end of a root word, which leaves these three characters as your root word, right? Regal ka, right? Regal is foot. Ka is you or your. In this case, your, right? So not allow to move your foot, right? All, again, like it says in the beginning, all is not, right? Same concordance code. right? Right, Yanawum, right, would be the next phrase. And also, again, this is another example of these nuances that you see with these root word, or it's like these prepositions and things like that. These rules, they're a rule because you'll see them a lot of times, majority of the time. But again, they're you're not always going to see this same rule being applied. So normally you see this word. Well, let's just do it like this. All right. So we know that this character right here, this ya in the beginning, is a preposition, right? So you separate the preposition, it leaves no one, right? Now, normally, what we just looked at the beginning of the verse, looking at your thun, usually, again, and this is you know what I mean, it's good that these examples are popping up so often so that we can see and get familiar with this concept, because it's not a concept that we see or talk about often. But it's good that it's popping up so often now, right? So that we can talk about it, so we can get used to learning about it, so that when we see it, we can get used to seeing it and understanding it, so we can add it to our notes, right? But usually you'll see when you add that preposition to a root word that starts with a na, a lot of times you'll see that the na is replaced with the ya. But in this case, right here, this isn't the case. It's just added to the beginning. So ya no woman, right? Right? Ya no woman, right? Ya being a preposition that means he, right? And nawam means to be drowsy or to sleep, to slumber, right? So not no or not, he sleep or he drowsy, right? And then the last one, shamarka, right? Now we should be familiar with this word shamar, right? Shamar means to keep or watch, right? A sheep, a keeper of sheep, you know what I mean, watches the sheep. A zookeeper watches the animals in the zoo, right? So shamar and keep can be used interchangeably, or shamar can be used interchangeably as watch and keep. They mean the same thing. And then ka, shamar ka, keep you, right? Let's see. All right, we're gonna do this last line before we go ahead and close it down. All right. All right. So the next part, all right. Behold, all right, behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. All right. So this first phrase right here, Hana, Salaki, Hana, behold. That was the word that was slipping my memory earlier. Behold is one of the I believe it's one of the pictographs, right? For Ha, right? Ha is to behold, right? Right? It's a hand. I believe it's the hand beholding something, right? All right. So Hana, right? Behold should be one of your pictograph words. It should be one of your sight words that you should get familiar with from past classes. All right. So Hana, behold. La'ah, we should already be familiar with la'ah, means no, or it means it's used to negate something. All right. Most of the time. Now we saw in other examples previously in previous verses, we saw that all ah and la next to each other can be used in the same or similar way as well. But typically you'll see la'ah. Right? Ya nawam, we just went over that. Ya meaning he, Nawam meaning sleep or slumber or drowsy, right? Right. And we're gonna come into we're gonna use another, well, let's get to it real quick and I'm gonna explain. So wa la'a and no, right? So we just talked about la'a here meaning no, right? La'a here means no. We got a preposition in front of that la'a. Wa la'a, right, means and not or and no. Again, la'a means to negate something. Now we got ya yashun. Ya yashun, right? Ya yashun, right? Yashun, we just clicked on that concordance code. Yashun means to sleep. Ya in the beginning means he or it. In this case, he, right? Now, these two words seem like they mean the same thing, to sleep, right? This is talking about awareness, right? To be drowsy, meaning, and what this scripture is talking about as we read it every day, you know what I mean, at least once a week in the Lashawan Qadash during Sabbath service and in English, this scripture is talking about the Lord is not slack with his people. You know what I mean? He ain't sleeping on, he sees what's going on with Israel. He sees what's going on with our enemies trying to keep us on the bottom. He sees it. He's not slack with his people. Right? So that's what this is talking about. And he ain't sleep. You know what I mean? You see the prophet, I believe it was well, who was it? Laki. The one that was who went against the 450 prophets of Baal. And he was like, is your God asleep? I believe it's I don't think it's Ezekiel. Man, Elijah, that's who it is, I believe. Elijah. I knew it was one of them prophets. It's Elijah. But when Elijah said the same thing, he was taunting the prophets of Baal. He said when they was trying to call upon their false God, which is no God, it was like, maybe your God is asleep, right? We don't serve a power like that. Our power is living. Our God is living. And he is not slack or asleep like these other gods, man. He is living. What the scripture is saying in the Lashawan Qadash is the Lord is living and he is not slack with what's going on with our people. All right. And then, all right, so the next phrase. So that's why you see those two phrases, those two characters, or those two words. It looks like they might mean the same thing, but it's talking about two different aspects of our God, right? Means he's not only is he living, he's real, unlike these other gods, which are no God, but he's not slack with his people. All right. Shawamar, right? Let's click on this concordance code. We should be familiar with this word already, but we just for teaching purposes, we're gonna click on this concordance code and show you that this word derives from the root word shamar, which we've been talking about all night with Psalms 121. The Lord keeping us, right? The Lord keeping and watching us is the theme of this scripture, right? That the Lord is with his people and he ain't forgot about his people, right? So shamar is the word here, means to keep or watch. So how do we get from shamar to shawamar, right? You get from shamar to shawamar by adding that wa in the middle. That wa in the middle means selected. That wa in the middle just means it's a doing tense, meaning something is being done. So it goes from watch or keep to watching or keeping, right? In the English, you would just add an ing. Sidebar with that concept, you have to be very careful not to look at or think of the Lashawan Qadash as English. All right. We might give some examples or some comparisons because English is a lot of our first or second language. So we're more familiar with the English than the Lashawan Qadash. So we might use those comparisons so that you can so we can help you better understand the Lashawan Qadash. But it's not structured the same. All right. So just because you see a Y in the middle of a root word doesn't mean that in the English translation, you're going to always see ing, but it has a similar effect as the ing. It's talking about what we're doing. Now, for example, like in English, you got the word run, right? That's the root word. Now you add an ing, running. Now you're talking about what somebody is doing, right? It's similar, not the same, but similar to what's going on with the Lashawan Qadash regarding the Y in the middle of a root word. Shawamar, shamar is keep or watch. Shawamar is talking about what somebody is doing. They're keeping or they're watching. And then lastly, Yasharala, right? All right. Yasharala, which is Israel. Or to break it down further, Yah, meaning he or it, Shar, prince, Allah, power. Prince of the power. He's the prince of the power. All right. All right, we're gonna cut it right there. Make sure you tune in. Lord willing, brothers and sisters was able to take notes and participate. You know what I mean? We're gonna pick up next week. Give a little homework, Salakia, for next class, all right? Next class. We stopped at chapter 4, or Salakia, verse 4, chapter 121, verse 4. Next week, you know what I mean? Let's come prepared next week with the breakdown of chapter or verses 5 through 8. We're gonna go ahead and finish through 5 through 8 next class. All right, and in doing that, we're gonna practice using the what's it called, the cheat sheet that we made yesterday. I advise brothers to take a picture of it if you in class. If you was watching online last week, to maybe take a screenshot so that you can have it on deck. But most importantly, to write it. Now, taking a picture, taking a screenshot is all cool and all, but it's better for you to write it so that you can retain it. Because if you just have a picture and you take a screenshot or you take a picture and before the day is over, you're going to forget it's in your phone. It's just going to be something in your phone taking up memory that you're never going to use again. Right? Unless you know what I mean, unless it's time for you to half-ass your way through Lashawan Qadash. All right, which is not a habit you want to, you know what I mean? That's not a habit that you want to have. All right, so what I would advise for brothers to do is to write it down. You know, take your picture, screenshot, rewind as you need to, but most importantly, write down this cheat sheet so that you have it, in your mind and you have it in your hands. Right, so you have the muscle memory, so that when you see it, you're already familiar with it from the repetition. All right, so with that. We're gonna say Imadium, which means to stand. We're gonna give a courtesy salute to the brothers. Makia. Israel Madra Shabbat. Imadium. Barak. Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shabbat. Yadi Matah. Sar. We're gonna turn our face to the sisters, give a courtesy salute to the sisters. Israel Madra Shabbat. Imadium. Barak. Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shabbat. Yadi Matah. It's me.